Well, welcome everyone to Vermont Sun and Shade. Thank you so much for being with me today. And we have a wonderful article by CNN on a hiker who he got lost. And as you can see from the title, is 89 years old. So let's take a look at this because this is an amazing story simply due to the length of time. So beef jerky, salted nuts, and iodine tablets helped an 89-year-old hiker's very unlikely survival in Idaho wilderness. So this is by author Graham Hurley, CNN, and it was written Thursday, August 15th, 2024. So this is just the other day. So this is his image. This is Bing Olbum. Olbum. He set off for a 5-day hiking trip, but he ended up being lost for almost 10 days in the wilderness. So 10 days in the wilderness for a younger, healthy person is even considered hazardous. So let's see how he survived. Equipped with only 19 pounds of gear, 89-year-old Bing Olbum set off on what he intended to be a 5-day hiking trip. So instead, Olbum found himself nearly stranded for 10 days in over 4 million acres of Salmon Chalice National Forest. So I am not familiar with that, but think about that 4 million acres. So it's home to some of the most rugged places in the country beyond Alaska. According to, and we know how Alaska is. I mean, Alaska is, it will swallow you up. And according to local search and rescue coordinator, some of the peaks and saddles Olbum passed through reached over 8,000 feet as he cleared more than 20 miles while traversing the alpine forest. So he passed through um, areas, peaks that reached over 8,000 feet. I mean, that's like, you got to figure the oxygen is thinner up there also. And so the odds of anybody surviving that period of time in the wilderness area is very unlikely. So searching by horseback, helicopter, and drones. So on August 1st, Olbum ventured from the Hunter Creek trailhead in east central Idaho on a backpacking trip. He was expected to arrive at his exit point at the McDonald Creek area 5 days later. So Olbum was reported as a missing person on August 6th. The Custer County Search and Rescue team began searching for him by land and air. Ground teams scanned the forest for traces of Olbum, lasering in on possible trails on which he could be found. So the next morning, Idaho National Guard and a private pilot lent their helicopters to help with the search. And the Idaho National Laboratory manned drones to sweep through the forested mountains to see if they could see any signs of him at all. Despite the extensive effort, the Custer County Search and Rescue team had zero traces of him for 5 days. They had been looking for him for 5 days. And local residents of Custer County and the surrounding area made up the ground search teams. So locals left their jobs and commitments to help with the search for Mr. Olbum. And the Custer County Search and Rescue Team is entirely made up of volunteers, according to Zollinger. We're still a really small community, Zollinger said, adding that he and others have spent their whole lives in that community. They say stay off the mountain. Well, we're always going anyways. So there's something very alluring about mountains and being out in nature. And I went on my other channel, I went down to the dam today to the waterfall. So there's, nature is beautiful. So and it was these county members who finally brought Olbum home. So this is what happened. We're getting ready to discontinue our search and rescue and turn it back over to the family and let them look for him, Zollinger said, adding that the chances of him surviving were very low after being out there for so long. Olbum's daughter, Jennifer Olbum, posted his photo and the trail map on Facebook Thursday asking for information and help from the hikers that are familiar with that area. So for 2 days, search and rescue have been unable to locate him, which tells me he is hurt or worse and unable to lay out a tarp for the choppers to see. So he was very experienced. Mr. Olbum, 89 years old, he knew what he was doing, where he was going. 2 days later, on the final evening of the search, a group of local rescuers discovered Olbum's camp, according to Sheriff's Office. After searching for him in the surrounding areas, local residents on horseback found him safe in the early morning hours of August 11th. According to Zollinger, Olbum was found virtually unscathed and only mildly dehydrated and sore from the sheer distance he covered on foot. So CNN reached out to the family, who confirmed he is doing well but declined an interview. The will to survive. That morning, the Custer County Sheriff's Office praised Olbum, saying his will to survive has resulted in unbelievable good ending in this incident. See, it's the mindset. It's how many times it is the mindset and experience and good sense. Obum had lightly packed for his backpacking trip. His only food for the excursion was beef jerky, salted nuts, and iodine tablets to purify the water. When you think about it, the salted nuts, the salt right there is perfect. And the nuts are for like protein, right? Beef jerky, more protein, more salt. And the water, he was making sure he had clean water. So he also packed a one-man tent, a blanket, and a pad to sleep on because he planned to be out there for 5 days, but he didn't plan to be out there for 10. So he didn't have any tracking devices on him and only had a compass. Now, see, I wonder, that would have been a very wise move, even if he threw his phone in his backpack. But for 5 days, maybe the charge would have went down, but they could have had an idea of where he last was, this and that. But so he had a compass and a paper map for navigation. Zollinger was amazed by Olbum's will to survive, especially after learning he did so without making a fire. The temperatures in the forest fluctuate from 40s at night to 90s during the day. So that's pretty chilly if there's wind or rain and stuff like that, and you're on the ground. Just having a few supplies, 5 days worth of food, stretching it out that far is just amazing, and in everybody's eyes. We dealt with a lot with the Air Force rescue, and even they were amazed with this outcome. The reason why this is so amazing is because of his age. Because of his age and the length of time. Because you figure 3 days is enough for a healthy person to start falling under the weather and the conditions and starting to give in and feeling weakness. But he's 89 years old and he was out there really a total of 10, but he was lost for 5. So Zollinger spoke with Olbum this week and a couple of days after he was found safe and asked him about what kept him going. Olbum said he believed he could survive another 3 days out in the wild, which Zollinger described as absolutely phenomenal. The biggest thing I see in him is his mindset. Um, you could almost hear the confidence too. They say, well, how did you do this 10 days? And he's like, 10. He goes, I could have went three more. So this is a very wise person. And he said, well, it was mostly my mind to keep going, um, to keep setting goals and to keep moving forward. So that's how he was thinking. He was just one step in front of the other and probably trying to be really uh, strategic, especially when he got lost. So, anyway, I wanted to share that with you. And I think that is an absolutely amazing story. Look at him. So, I mean, he's got some pretty good gear on. He's he's got his hat, he had his compass, and he they found him. So he didn't go deeper and deeper in 5 million. I think they said, right? There were millions of 4 million acres. That's crazy. Yeah, this guy knew what he was doing for sure. Anyway, I hope that's an inspiration to you hikers out there. Think of this guy. I mean, look, he brought protein. He had protein with him and a couple of different types. So, and iodine tablets to make sure he would be getting his water. These are essential things that you need to keep moving. So, anyway, with that, everyone, you just have a beautiful weekend, and we'll see you in the next one.